Good evening, everyone. We welcome you for today's ISD Friday forum. And I request Amruta ma'am to introduce the speaker and then hand it over for the further proceeding. Amruta ma'am, please.
Good evening, everyone. Today we have with us Ujjwal Trivedi sir. He is professor in microbiology department of biosciences, Sardar Patel University at Vallabh Vidyanagar. Sir is working in the department of biosciences since December 1994. Have been involved in teaching in MSc microbiology and biotechnology and also industrial biotechnology. Education includes MSc, PhD in microbiology, passed UGC CSIR NET in 1989. Have also successfully completed A-STAR online course on bioinformatics with A+ grade in August 2004. Teaching areas include enzymology, fermentation technology. Research areas microbial production enzymes and biopolymers. Research publication in peer-reviewed journal 40 in numbers. PhD students completed 7 under the guidance of Ujjwal Trivedi sir and ongoing is 5. Funded projects 3. Also sir is member of and chairman board of studies in biosciences, faculty of science, Youth Festival Committee, University Syndicate member, April 2012 to March 2015, teacher in charge for students, activities and youth festival. Activities includes campus development and biodiversity studies of birds, butterflies, spiders, other insects, reptiles in bioscience campus and botanical garden. Associated with University Net Coaching Center and other colleges of SPU for competitive exams. Also conducted soft skill training programs and popular for writing article in university magazines. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of ISD Anand family. And now I invite Ujjwal Trivedi, sir, to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for these kind words. And only last 4 or 5 sentences which you mentioned in my biodata are relevant to this talk. And that's because we have a very good experience in doing certain activities on our campus. Because in 2006, the university gave us a blank canvas. So they gave us a 15-acre land in which we had a standing building, and there was nothing and in terms of diversity there. So of course, microbial diversity was there, but the macro diversity was not there. So with our own efforts and the efforts of our senior colleague and expert, Dr. Reddy, we could develop a green campus. So that was a great encouragement for us when we shifted to that department, and a decade was very interesting in that new campus. So many interests grew, and love for nature grew, and many other studies also came out as an offshoot. I'm thankful to Indian Society for Training and Development for giving me this opportunity to interact with so many diverse group of people, but they are from various branches of academics, as I can understand. I'll start sharing my screen and straight away go to my presentation. So please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so things are getting worse day by day. You must have got an idea from my title what I'm going to talk about, and what we already know. And we also know that nothing much can be done about it. But then analysis can be done. We are very good at diagnosis. We may not be good at therapy, but we are very good at diagnosis. We do a lot of analysis. We do accurate analysis. So we means our race. We as human beings are very good at it. So this is what has come up. It's not new, but new analysis has come up and new report has come up. Every now and then threatening reports come up, we read them and then we forget them. This is the latest one. Last month only it was published by International Committee on Climate Control. So International Panel on Climate Control, IPCC. And they are the authorities whom we, if we have to believe one authority, then it is that authority, code red for humanity. So it is a red signal to what's happening on this planet, especially due to our activity. And that's what I am going to talk about. Although my title looks like biodiversity, biodiversity is a little technical subject, and therefore we will not talk about life forms and this and that. But my actual topic is our existence. So I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk less about biodiversity and more about our existence. What has happened in the history of man for so many years, what is happening now, and some threats that we are already staring at in terms of environmental threats and other threats on our existence. So our main discussion today would be our existence. You can ask me questions in between also, or hopefully I can give you some time in the end. Now, it's so important for all of us to get involved, whether environment is our subject or not. It should be our, it has become our primary goal as human beings. And initially I believed that whatever knowledge about my subject of expertise I have, for which I have been appointed in the university or college as a teacher, that's the thing I should be knowing about. And the students should be interested in that and not about what I am. But of late, I have found out that whatever we teach to our students, we teach what we know, but they learn what we are. So things that we are preaching, if they don't come into practice, then students are not going to learn from that. So that's why it's so important. Teacher teaches through his image rather than his knowledge. And that's why it's so important for all of us also to understand. See, everyone understands environment, or at least everyone thinks that he understands environment. He understands the threats, and everyone thinks that we know what to do, and we are doing it. And we are doing this green chemistry and green university and green this thing and green that thing. So painting greens everywhere and think that we are doing enough for the environment and that's going to happen. So that is a very highly wishful thinking. And that's the reason why the threat is increasing day by day, and we think that we are doing a lot and we are doing nothing, in fact. If you see to the timeline of our existence, the planet appeared about 4.5 billion years ago, and life appeared about 3.5 billion years ago. And yeah, there are some other theories. They say 10 billion years ago. That means panspermia, life came from elsewhere. So from some other planet or something like that, whatever it is. But we are in terms of our lifespan, if we consider, then we have a very, very long history on this planet. For a very, very long period of time, the life was anaerobic. That means oxygen, because oxygen was not there. So life existed without oxygen. In fact, this planet was first time seriously polluted by evolution of certain life forms which emitted a very poisonous gas, or we call it as prana vayu today, but that was a very poisonous gas when it first appeared. That's oxygen. And that gave a major threat to whatever life existed, because that was anaerobic. Anaerobic does not mean that it does not require oxygen, but it requires absence of oxygen. So oxygen is poison for such organisms. So then again life evolved and some aerobic forms appeared. So life found mechanism to resist the presence of oxygen first, and then it started consuming oxygen. So adversity was converted to an advantage. Then the higher forms appeared, the plants and the animals, they appeared. Now, if you consider the entire history, then we can say Plants and animals have appeared just now. It's just 600 million years ago. And we mammals are only 100 million years ago. We have come on this planet, and human beings just 1 million years ago. So we have come very recently on this planet, you can say. But not to frighten you, but just to give you a statistical perspective, mammals have existed on this planet for 1 to 2 million years. So humans are also mammals. 1 million year already passed, and the lifespan of mammals on the planet is estimated to be 1 to 2 million years. So, which means that second half of our existence has already started. Modern man, we call human. So there are various species. If you are interested in knowing that history of our civilization, you can refer to Cradle of Civilization, one good book. Another is Sapiens. So we are not humans, actually, we are sapiens, because human had several species, and one of those which is present on this planet today is Homo sapiens. So we are all sapiens. We came 1 million years ago. Out of that, almost 90% of our time of our existence, we remained confined to Africa. Whatever I am telling you right now, there are various theories, but those which are most accepted I have picked up, and that's why I am talking only about that. There are many other theories, and some experts are there in this group also, in our audience also. So you know better than me. But we are picking up only those theories which are by and large accepted. I have mentioned a list of things here in the timeline and mentioned 2 points in red. That is 10,000 years ago, agriculture and domestication started. So out of those 10 lakh years, about since 1 lakh years or so, we came out of Africa and migrated to the other part of the planet. That was because of, we wanted to search for, we were living a nomadic life, the hunter-gatherer life. You must have studied that in schools also, the hunter-gatherer kind of living. So that way we continued for such a long time in our history. Only 10,000 years ago, something went wrong with us. That's what people say, that we started thinking about not being dependent on the nature for our survival, but we started dominating the nature. And the first example of our quest to dominate the nature, our attempt to dominate the nature, that comes from this event, agriculture. That means we stopped going to the food and we started cultivating our own food. And of course, domestication, so cattle rearing. So we tamed animals, exploited them for our purpose, and that is where the entire exploitative history of us began. And once you have settlements, then you need rules. So the societies became less wild and more civilized. And to maintain civilized society, we required governments. And to sustain the governments, we required the forces, the militaries. And then in order to develop in such a civilized way, we required commerce, we required trade, we required science, and then we required technology. So all these things were spin-offs from agriculture, our idea to settle down and to ensure our food and our safety. So that is where, that's the first attempt to, do away with the struggles. Every living thing on this planet has struggles. See, a lion or a tiger is very strong. A deer or gazelle is very weak. No matter you're strong or you're weak, tiger will have to get up in the morning and run. If he does not run, he will go hungry. If a deer does not run, he will die. And therefore, everybody has to run, whether he is strong or, but that was not acceptable to us. that we will not run. We will sleep late, we'll get up late, and yet we will have food. And that was the idea, and that whole idea. So we thought it's a jungle, and we cannot live in jungle. We want to, become a civilized society, and that's how our agriculture and domestication started. But then, to make the things easy, technologies were developed. So 500 years, we saw a lot of development of fundamentals, understanding of sciences, new discoveries, new inventions started taking place. And then once science developed, it led to technology. A good application for the betterment of mankind, that is about science. So good application of science for the betterment of mankind, you call it as technology. So technology is basically the application or use of science, and that's what we started doing. 100 years ago, our industrial revolution started. Now, first thing is we left that primitive life 10,000 years ago. And second big thing that happened, I'm marking that in red because these are the red events. The code red which we have been issued last month has roots into these two basic events. So agriculture, stop going to food, let everything come here. Today also we are doing that in a very big way. We want everything here. That psychology, that psyche is the basis of agriculture. So you want everything here. I mean, you want exotic food here. You will not go to Gir or Junagadh area for Kesar Keri. You will bring that here at your home. Not only during the season, if I want to eat it during winter also, I will freeze it and use it. And then any exotic food, Italian pizzas, I want it here. So everything I want it here. That began with the agriculture. Today also I want it here. Even now these days, and it is day by day increasing. Till few years ago, I was going to the hotel or restaurant if I wanted to eat. Now I am doing Zomato. I want it here in my home. So that's how the things are moving, ever increasing, you can say. Now the second thing is about industrial revolution. What do you mean by industrialization? When we say industrialization, we are not talking about just an industry. We are talking about doing things on large scale. And that can be any kind of activity. Maybe producing some product on a large scale. A chemical industry produces huge quantities of materials. That is an industry. But doing everything in big scale, that means, say you are doing construction, you are constructing a building using huge machines. These JCBs and others are plowing the things and removing the debris. If you do it yourself manually, it may take days. You can do it in hours. Fighting wars. Earlier also, in times of Ramayana and Mahabharata, big wars were fought. But then those wars were fought with soldiers facing each other. So that is small scale fighting. Today's wars are large scale wars. You push one button and you kill million people. So that is industrial scale. That is a large scale. So that is what we are referring to. 10 years ago, information age, more than 4 billion. This is old data. More than 4 billion internet users and more than 7 billion human beings. Out of them, more than 50% are using mobile. And in developed countries, one person has more than one mobile. So even in developing countries. So this is happening. What you are seeing here in terms of time scale is what has not happened in million years has happened in thousands years. What has not happened in thousands years has happened in last 100 years. What has not happened in 100 years has happened in 10 years. Generation gap earlier was between grandfather and grandson. Today, generation gap, yesterday generation gap was between elder brother and younger brother. Today, there is a generation gap within me. The way I was doing things before 10 years and the way I am living today, there is a huge generation gap. I cannot believe that the way I am living today, with the gadgets and the equipments that I have today and the dependence that I have on that, I just cannot imagine how I was surviving without these things 20 years ago. just a detour on moon. Moon, our existence is dependent on moon. You know, there was a time, today moon is about 2.5 million miles away. But earlier, once upon a time, moon was about 30,000 kilometers away. So just 30,000 kilometers away from us means if you go out on your terrace and try to look at the moon, half of the sky would be covered with moon. You know, tides are because of moon. And moon is moving away from the planet slowly, few millimeters in many years. And then today it is where it is. Earlier, when it was so close, the tides were so huge. That means the oceans would cover the land. During the ebb tide, the land would reappear. Now, life started as an aquatic life. That means in water. Eventually, as the moon moved away, that land which was always covered with water eventually started appearing out permanently. So some part of the land remained land. And then as the moon moved further away, more and more land mass became permanently land mass. So those organisms which would come on during the high tide on the land mass would not be able to go away during the ebb. So that was the period when it started adapting. And that is where amphibians came. And then the other higher forms. Amphibians means those organisms which can survive both in water as well as on land. And then the terrestrial life. So this terrestrial life started 450 million years ago. And that is because of receding tides due to the movement of moon away from Earth. Life exists everywhere. In presence of oxygen, absence of oxygen, freezing conditions, high temperature, very high temperature, pressure, starvation, desiccation, whatever. It can tolerate radiation, desiccation. You find them under the rocks, glaciers, deep inside the ocean, kilometers under the ocean. So diversity is a very flexible thing. It's a game between genetic opportunity, metabolic capability, environment, and symbiosis. How we help each other. But what I want to tell you through this slide is just one thing, that the planet in itself is highly flexible. And the life on planet is highly resilient. That is the reason why changing conditions on this planet has changed forms of life, but has not wiped off life altogether. So what is important for us to understand is the life on this planet can change its forms. So life on planet is more or less permanent, but the forms are not permanent. So somebody will live, not necessarily us, or we will live forever. If you look at the global diversity in technical terms, we have about 8.7 million terrestrial forms, 2.2 oceanic, 1.9 known, out of total 11 million species known or estimated. We have about 2 million species covered. That means we know about them, we have given them the name. They don't have a name, we have given them the name. We have given them the name, we have studied them, many of them we have studied in huge details, their existence, their diversity, their presence, their habitats, etc. Some other estimates are really alarming. Some people say there are 10 to 30 million insects only. We microbiologists believe that 5 to 10 million bacteria are there. And now recently, with better techniques, we have come to know that 95% of what we know, what exists, is unculturable. Means we can't study them under laboratory. So suddenly we have realized that what we have studied in laboratories is only 5%. So what we do not know is 95%. And the rate of extinction also disturbs this estimate. So overall, if we believe that there are 11 million taxa and somewhere around that is the estimated correct figure, we can go with that. But point is that most of the living things that are present on this planet, we are not aware about them. This is just some classification of different kinds of life forms that are existing. We can skip that, it's not so important. What is important for us is this slide. The way we are growing on this planet, we are occupying this planet, we are conquering this planet by numbers, first thing. So when we started counting ourselves, so from 1804 to 1927, the population was 1 billion. That is from where we started counting. It doubled, it became 2 billion, or you can say 1 billion was added to the total human population, and it took 123 years to happen. Then from 2 to 3 billion, it took 33 years. Thanks to some wars and some epidemics. But the birth rate and death rates were always in competition with each other, with birth rates always winning. And then we thought about, we predicted these issues of population explosion, and a lot of methods of controlling birth control and other things that came up. But simultaneously, we also did a lot of development in healthcare. Late 50s, 60s and 70s were antibiotic era. We conquered almost all epidemics. And that is the reason the development in healthcare has led to population increase by 1 more billion and one more in between around 13, 14 years. Today we are more than 7 billion. Very soon we will touch 8 billion. 2027 is predicted year, but many people believe that it will be much sooner than that, and that would happen only in 15 years. So with all of our efforts, we assume that we are going to become 9, 10 billion in less than 50 years from now. Many people have talked about what should be the ideal, comfortable population on this planet. Then it is somewhere around 4 billion. Many of us in 1974 were grown up enough to understand this world. So far as I am concerned, the kind of issues of population were quite manageable in those days, I can say. The population density, people living in an area, you go somewhere, you go in bus or train, all those rush hours were not there. In Vallabh I have never seen, or even in Anand in those days, I have never seen traffic jams. So that is our comfort level, and we are almost double than that. 3.5 billion years is a very, very long time. When you see it in context to last 20 years, what has happened. I will introduce briefly 2-3 terms. Extinct and extinct. See, species come and go on this planet. I told you the life form changes. So species become extinct. And new species come. So going away of species is called as extinction, whereas coming of new species is called as speciation. So new forms are formed through evolution, and those who cannot survive, life per se is highly resistant, but indigenous species are not, and therefore they go extinct. So they vanish permanently. Losing of a species is called as extinction. So out of total species, whichever is existing now, is called as extant. Those which have gone, they are extinct. So 11 million which we are talking about, they are extant species. They are not the total species existed on this planet ever. Now, when these species vanish or they go away, we lose a species called extinction. When we lose a huge majority of species on this planet, that is called as mass extinction. And that's a very serious thing. Extinction and speciation is a very normal thing for this planet. Mass extinction is not a very normal thing, but it's not infrequent also. We are talking about mass extinction today, which is happening today. But then people say it's not for the first time. This planet have seen many mass extinction, and the studies on this planet by people through various theories, various means, have found that there are as many as 20 mass extinctions which can be notably presented, out of which there are 5 huge ones. I have listed them and not going into the details of that. But the point here is that this mass extinction, where some 66 million years, 200 million years, 215 million years ago, 375 million years, 450 million years, these are some of the extinctions that have taken place in past, and I have noted here 5. You can find that in Wikipedia also, you can read about it later. But there are 5 major ones which have already taken place, and these were huge ones. About 75% of species loss was there in a relatively short span of time. So extinction also takes number of years to happen, but this has happened in relatively a shorter period of time. So, and the 6th one, we are talking about the 6th one, and the 6th one is happening now. The name given to the 6th one is Holocene extinction, because Holocene means never happened before. It's happening first time. Although this planet has seen many mass extinctions, but this one is extraordinarily different. Different in the sense that present rate, see, whenever I ask my students or friends or family members, the general knowledge question on extinction is dinosaurs. If you ask anyone, name a species which has become extinct, they say dinosaurs. So this kind of repeated exemplifying dinosaurs has created a kind of an impression that dinosaurs are the only species that have gone. Everybody else is here since forever. But we are talking about extinction where millions of species have gone away in past. What we are talking about now is this particular kind of extinction, that is 6th extinction. If you see here, 1,40,000 estimated number of species per year are going extinct. Do we understand the scale at which it is happening? This means today's talk, which is about 1 hour total time, 15 to 16 species have left this planet. Every hour this much is happening. So imagine how many species we are losing every day. If you say, don't worry, we have 11 million, it will take a very long time, you are right. But then if you look at the history of this planet, it's not very slow. Now, some people say this is an overestimation. How they are estimating, how they are representing is current extinction rate and background extinction. See, if nothing has happened, if there is no mass extinction, at what rate extinction would happen? That is our background extinction rate, which should be 1 to 10 species per year at the most. So if we lose less than 10 species a year, that's okay, that's natural. Now, at current rate, what we are observing, that is 10,000 times higher rate. that is abnormal. Now, some people say it is overestimation. The lowest, the most conservative estimation also says it is 100 times more. And this is going to become rapid because as you lose number of species, there would be, there are certain chain reactions. Different species are connected to each other. And that is why it will lead to a kind of chain reaction. One species dies, many species dies together. And that's happening today. We can call it as habitat destruction also. Because there is interdependence amongst the species. If insects disappear from this planet, we cannot survive. Vice versa is not true. If we disappear from this planet, insects will survive. So it is so interdependent. There was one very good article or series of articles written on the role of lions in Gir. They say if lions disappear from Gir, the forest will collapse. And there are some other videos also available on Discovery Channel where this kind of interdependence among the species has been demonstrated, thoroughly studied. So what have we got to do with this diversity? There is wildlife, there is agriculture, health, and industries. To cut the entire, we know this, and you all know this, how much we are dependent on the plant and animal products. 40% of world's economy and 80% of needs of poor are derived from biological resources. And that's a fact. If we are going to overexploit these resources, and if some of these species get extinct, then our food needs, and then at that point of time, we cannot chew these mobile phones and we cannot eat our television sets. At the end of the day, we need food. This table shows from what different industries our needs are met. But we are talking about threats today because we are talking about our existence. Whether we are there or not there on this planet, biodiversity must be there and would be there. But it's our problem now that we are so much dependent on this diversity, and our existence is the reason for this sixth mass extinction. Our threats are our own activities. We invade species. It's such a normal thing to kill others. You start your television set and go to any news channel, especially Gujarati news channel. Every day you will find insecticides. આ ઈયળ ને મારો ને પેલી ઈયળ ને મારો, ત્રણ ઈયળ ને મારી નાખશે ને સાફ કરી નાખશે ને. All those things are our advertisements. So killing has become so natural to us. And a necessity also. That is our deep-rooted belief that it is necessary. Now our expansions, see how cities are expanding, how small towns are also expanding at the cost of destroying habitats for other organisms. The biggest threat is resource utilization. See, in that table of population explosion, if you think number of people increasing, or if we think that number of people increasing is going to put pressure on space constraints, that's not fully true. That's half truth. That it's not about space, because it's a very big planet, and there are sparsely populated regions on this planet. Their number is more than densely populated regions. So we can go elsewhere and stay. It's not about staying. It's about resource utilization. Although the increase in population since 70s till date is only 2 times, 4 billion to 8 billion. But our resource utilization, we have increased population by 1 billion or so in last 15 years. But our resource utilization has not grown that much. It has grown manifold. Some estimation says our resource utilization is doubling every 2 years. Look at our own selves. The kind of materials that we are utilizing as of today, whether they are synthetic materials or natural materials, our range has increased. Our previous generation would barely have 4 pair of clothes, most of them. And today, most of us have 4 to 8 pairs of shoes. Our exploitation of the planet has increased much more than the increase in the population. Now, there is one basic thing everyone understands. We must use the only what is necessary. I am also telling that, you are also telling, everyone telling. See, I am not using anything unnecessarily. But the conflict is our idea of necessary. What we think necessary, what we thought necessary, essential services. Everything was essential in 2019. Suddenly a pandemic came and most of the things shut down. And then we say only essential activities. Now we realize milk and vegetable are only 2 things that are required on this planet. Everything else is non-essential. We lived without it and we lived happily without it because we are threatened. We had no complaints. Nobody was asking a particular brand of soap or shampoo. You call to a grocery shop, you understand, okay, they have a stock. होम डिलीवरी अवेलेबल, हाँ अवेलेबल है, तो भेज दीजिए शैम्पू. कौन सा भेजू? अरे जो है वो भेज दीजिए, चलेगा. Where did our hunger for the brands, where did it go last year? So what we thought necessary previous year was not necessary last year, and after 2 years again that will become most necessary thing. So the whole conflict is about the idea of necessary. I, as an examiner, think that answer books are necessary. An environmentalist would think that you can do away with the papers. So what is necessary for me? I need a car. Come on, I have a family of 4. I need a car. Car is a necessity. And majority of population is living without car. How do they manage? So from that, I got this idea that we are special. Of course, we are special. We are. If you'd say 11 million species, they are different. One species, us, that is different. So I want you to, as a homework or as a point to ponder, find out, make a list of things that we human beings as a species, as one species, do which no other species does on this planet. कोई species नहीं करते हैं ऐसा काम. कौन सा हम करते, कौन से ऐसे काम करते हैं? जैसे हेल्थ केयर में बाईपास सर्जरी सिर्फ हमारे होते हैं. फूड प्रोसेसिंग, see, cooking is essential. I am not talking about cooking. You have the raw cereals and you are boiling it. You boil rice, that is required. But then baking is required because that makes food more digestible. I agree with that. You bake biscuits, then you make cream biscuits, and then you make cream chocolate biscuits out of that, and then you mix it then in mixer grinder and then make milkshake out of it. What is the need? So you are converting one digestible food material into another, and then you convert milk which you can consume. You are freezing it, then you are making ice cream, and then you are keeping that ice cream as ice cream for so many days. Do you know how much energy is required to make ice cream remain ice cream? These are some of the things which only we do. And similarly, we can make a list of things which every species does on this planet. We do not do that. One of the biggest thing is following the rules, because we think everything belongs to us. It's our planet, our land, our mountains, our oceans, our environment, including our forest, our wildlife, our biodiversity. So we have made ourselves owners of this entire planet. Whereas we are one of our right on this planet is one of those 1 divided by 11 million. That much is our right. Do we do that? No, we do not. We are far away from that. We exploit much more. We have a much bigger chunk of bread when it comes to our share. Three most destructive thing which we are doing on this planet, that no species hunts down its competitors. We do. Hunting is there, but hunting is there for food. A lion does not kill other lions so that all food it can have it for itself. No species would eliminate its competitors. We eliminated our competitors. Down the line, we have whatever is our food. Those we eat. We are dependent on other species. Those species are our food. हम हमारे कॉम्पिटिटर को खत्म करते हैं, हम हमारे फूड के कॉम्पिटिटर को भी खत्म करते हैं. No species denies access to food to other species. It will eat its own, it will not stop others from eating. We do. We grow our food using various methods that no other species. These are some of the most destructive things. वरना नीचे गिरा हुआ खाना हमने उठा के खाते, वो हम ही करते. That is not destructive. क्योंकि उसके ऊपर बैक्टीरिया होते हैं, इन्फेक्शन हो जाता है, बीमार हो जाते हैं, इसलिए जमीन पे गिरा हुआ झूठा खाना नहीं खाते हैं. That only we do, but that's not destructive. These are the things which are destructive. Now, if you look to our significance of this on this planet, the number of years we live, we already know it's insignificant. But look at the size of this cosmos. 100 septillion light years. You know, if you put a switch on, how long does it take to put your light on? That is the speed of light. ट्यूबलाइट चालू होती है और हमको दिखता है, कितना टाइम लगता है? If light travels continuously for 1 year, where would it reach? That is 1 light year. We are talking about 100 septillion light years. Septillion year is 1 followed by 24 zeros. Billion is 9 zeros. 10 is 1 zero. 1000 is 3 zeros. Septillion is 24 zeros. Plus 2 zeros, that is जो 100 के 2 zeros है. So find out how many zeros are there. That many light years is the size of cosmos. 170 billion galaxies. One of them is Milky Way, our galaxy, Akash Ganga. 100 to 400 billion stars and planets on this, in this one Milky Way. Out of that, there is one star which is Sun. And Sun has 8.5 planets. One of those planets is Earth. In that Earth, there are 11 million existing species. Out of that, human being is one species, just one species, and having more than 7 billion individuals. That's us. Living on the entire planet, in which there is a small important country called as India. In that there is a small state Gujarat. In that there is a small district Anand and small village Vidyanagar. In that there is a small university, and in that small university, I am a big professor. This is how important we are. Now, if I consider myself against vis-a-vis cosmos, where would I stand? So I would definitely, I will not find that comparison very interesting and exciting. So I'll go other way around. I am there in the center of the universe. Around me, my village, my city, my country, my planet, and other solar systems, and Milky Way, and the cosmos, everything moving around me. Because the moment I am dead, the whole world doesn't matter to me. So I am in the center of my universe. That is my importance. So that's the reason why I am doing these things. But it's a very, very funny way of presenting. Somebody has done it very interestingly. That we are exploiting resources, especially with reference to cutting of trees. See, out of all diversity, trees are most significant diversities, because once you plant them, everything else is taken care of. Therefore, a botanical garden will have all biodiversity. If you remove trees out of it, you cannot have a zoological park. You bring animals from 100 places, you can make a zoo. You cannot make a forest. You plant trees, it will automatically become a forest. This is from WhatsApp University. Something to think about. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Scale it to 46 years, then we are here for 4 hours ago. That's why I'm telling we are here for since a very short time. हम अभी अभी आए हैं. Our industrial revolution 500 years ago has started just last minute. 1 minute पहले शुरू हुआ. And in 1 minute's time, we have destroyed 50%. And that's true. So this is not sustainable. So every now and then in schools, colleges, everywhere, lectures are given, programs are done, everything revolves around one question. Are we at the verge of destroying the earth? And most of say yes. But the correct answer is no. Are we at the verge of destroying the earth? The correct answer is no, we are not. And why it is not so, I'll tell you. We believe that we have to save the earth because it is our earth. You know, everything is ours, I told you. 2015, one day in Times of India, such an interesting headline, world meets in Paris to save earth. So, you know, we are very much clear on this issue that if earth has to be saved, we have to save. So we have to save it. So that means we are at the verge of destroying the earth. And I'm telling you it's not true. Because in this 3.5 billion years, the earth has changed, environment has changed, and life on this planet has also changed. You know, this extent 11 million species which we are talking about, the total diversity, that's only about 1 to 3% of diversity that has existed on this planet. That means about 98% of species have become extinct. उसके बाद जो बचा है वो ये 11 million है. We are just one of them. In other words, 98% has gone. So new species come and go. It's a very routine and normal thing for this planet. We are not destroying this planet. We are destroying ourselves. Mightier species than us have become extinct. And for this planet, we are a puff of dust. A wind blows and we would be puffed away and nobody would notice. This planet is not going to die, it's going to survive. It's not the question of the planet, it's our question, whether we are going to survive or not. So we are not at the verge of destroying this planet, we are at the verge of destroying ourselves. Any species that has not evolved has perished. The comfort zone in which we are into, you know, the struggle for survival is the reason for evolution. Day by day, our struggle, our natural struggle for survival is decreasing. We as a species are becoming more and more comfortable day by day. And therefore, it might happen that we will stop evolving because there is no reason, there is no evolutionary pressure on us. We are not at the verge of destroying the planet, we are at the verge of destroying ourselves. And that's why this code red for humanity. So the only solution is stop. How do you define this stop? Is a $1 million question. Thank you so much. That ends my presentation. And if time permits, we can have some questions. I don't claim I am an expert in that. In this, but I am a sensitive individual and I can answer some questions out of my curiosity and sensitivity.
Thank you, Ujjwal sir, for wonderful eye-opener kind of a session, for at least for me. Right. And the floor is open for all the participants who are joined us today. You can.
There are many participants who are working in the field of environment. If they want to add anything to this, not in particularly asking a question, but you want to share some of your opinions, which can benefit all of us.
Yes, sir. So you can share your feedback, experience as well, along with the what sir has said,
Yeah.
or any discussion as well. The floor is open for all.
We are doing small efforts in terms of conservation work and diversity studies, etc. Also, our bioscience campus has nicely developed into a green campus. So I invite you to the Department of Biosciences of Sardar Patel University. Whenever you get time, do visit. On Sundays also. It would be a very enriching experience just sitting there under those trees for half an hour or so.
Sir, can you share the just address or location of the place where you are staying?
Yeah, it is there on that Vartal Road.
Okay.
After you leave Bakrol Gate, there is a pond before you come to Jor. So in between there, there is a satellite campus of Sardar Patel University, a sports complex, a swimming pool, cricket ground, and our department.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any participants want to discuss or share and any points?
No, like
Verify.
continuing to this talk, I think in a Chitralekha, if somebody, Ujjwal Bhai might have also read that article regarding minimalization of a life. So that was a very wonderful cover story on minimalization life. Some of the developed countries, they started like living life with a minimum things. So because on the other side there is a consumerism and
See, Dr. Raju, you and me, we are living with minimum. Actually, our idea of minimum is different than their idea of minimum. So the conflict is about where you say it's minimum. So a good luxury car is a minimum thing that I require. I am not asking for a helicopter. So that is minimum for me. So this is the conflict. Whereas bicycle can do, you can run. So the most fundamental thing is go back 10,000 years and start living.
Yes.
So
Another experiment like what fascinated earlier they talk much about that, but nowadays like I think ISKCON and that group has started self-reliant village and all such concept, but that is also I think before 1 decade they talk about that and they promote also, but then
so that point of view, see, Auroville near Pondicherry is a very good example. But then one city or one village like that is not going to do anything significant.
True. But I think if those kind of concepts can be part of at least awareness part of the education, then I think in a times to come, if the new generation at least get aware about such ideas that life is possible with such kind of things also, then I think little then yeah. Anyway, but thank you, and I think the institute like ISTD and all other such kind of NGOs should promote such kind of concept. Like earlier, I know Nature Club was there, so Dhaval Bhai and all those people, every
they have done very good work.
All departments and spreading the awareness. But I think that is also now not happening. So I think we should promote all those topics now. And that will be a real awareness we require.
Yes.
Kinjalvam, you wanted to say something earlier.
Yeah, I was just willing to add. I mean, I've been a great fan of all his photographies as well, and a genuine one because it's genuinely so beautiful. The kind of awareness that Ujjwal sir is trying to create there. I just wanted to add for the benefit of everyone in the audience that if you missed his book review on the SPU handle of FB, you should watch it. I was so mesmerized absolutely by that book review, and yeah, it was a very beautiful way to sensitize people towards that, and that's where again he talked about these sensitivities. But the book that he had chosen, it had such an amazing style of narrating this very thing again, and it was absolutely a treat today, sir, to listen to you. And there is so much of economics also that I could see there. We have the population theory telling us the same thing, and sustainability issues. So the beauty of multidisciplinary concepts is that we have got so much to learn from each other. It was a pleasure, sir, to listen to you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the session. Thank you
Yeah,
to
thank you.
IST also for doing this. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Ujjwal sir, thank you very much. So we will be
Yeah, I
ending up
thank you
the
for giving this
session.
opportunity.
Uh, yes, sir. So on behalf of ISTD Anand chapter, we thank you, Ujjwal sir, for this wonderful topic and sensitizing these words for biodiversity. And as Raju sir has mentioned, we as academics, we have to think of to including our regular syllabus or the talk at least so the generations can think of this topic. And as all of you know, we will be putting this video on our ISTD YouTube channel as well. So you can refer your colleagues or students to watch it later on ISTD Anand YouTube channel as well. Thank you, all the participants who joined us today. We will be meeting again next Friday with a different topic. Thank you, Ujjwal sir.
Thank you.